Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about primitive data types, what they are. So, we discussed about TypeScript primitive types. In the primitive types, you learned about number type, another one string, and one more is Boolean. So, number, string, and Boolean types. And we discussed about one more concept called union of types. Union of types. While learning about string type, I told you need to know about string functions also. String functions, generally they are used to manipulate the strings. To format the string and to manipulate the string, you need string functions. So what is new in string? The new concept in string is the availability of backtick, right? What is backtick? Backtick is a string which allows embedded expression. Embedded expressions are defined by using $. What is union of types? What is union of type means? Union of type means it will allow multiple types. Why we need to define multiple types? Because we are not sure about the type initially, then we need to change the types. So that example already I showed you. In the primitive types, we have another option. We call this null type and undefined type. We have two more options, null and undefined. So in the data types, you can use null type and undefined type. What is null type? Actually, null type is nothing but null specifies that there is no value provided into reference. There is no value provided into reference at runtime. If runtime value is not provided, then it is called as what? It is referred as what type? Null. For example, yesterday I already showed you that if you remembered, we defined username, it is string or it is what type? Null type. If you are accessing from prompt, here we defined enter name. Why? Because if user cancels the prompt, then automatically it is going to return what type? It is going to return null. If value is supplied, it is going to return string. So that is the reason we need to declare string either null. For example, here another option is undefined. Undefined specifies that so there is no value provided into reference during compile time. During compile time, if value is not supplied, then it is going to return undefined. For example, suppose we defined var username and it is a string and we are trying to print it console.log and we are printing username. So you declared a variable, but into that variable value is not supplied. Into this variable value is not supplied. Then what it is going to print if value is not supplied? We declared a variable called username. Username, its data type is string, but there is no value initialized or there is no value assigned. Without storing any value, if I try to print it, what it is going to print? So in JavaScript, if value is not provided and you are trying to use it, then obviously it will return undefined. JavaScript undefined means in a reference, value is not provided and you are trying to use it. So if value is not provided and you are trying to use it, then it will return undefined. So this is invalid. Why that is invalid? Because value is not supplied. So then how to make it valid? To make it valid, you have to declare like this. If username is a string and union you have to define undefined. Undefined is equal to, into that you can pass undefined. What does undefined means? Undefined means that so value is not supplied into it. So if value is not supplied, we can write a simple logic and we will ignore it. We will not print this. For example, see here. So let's take an example for our project. And in this example, let's take the TypeScript project. And we are defining some var. So this is a variable. And this variable is having some name, which is a string type. And into that we will pass some string. After that we defined price and it is a number type, but there is no value supplied into it. And we are trying to print this. What we are doing, console.log, we are printing name is equal to name. And in the next line, price is equal to price. So there is no value and you are trying to print it. Then now you can see it shows some error here. For price, it is showing a red mark. And what is that red mark? We are expecting that. Why? Because this red mark indicates, let's see what it shows. It says that, so it is a variable you are using before it is assigned with some value. Now it is saying that you are not assigning any value and you are trying to use it. I am not assigning any value because the value is not known to me now. My responsibility is only to design price. The value into that another developer will give it. Means the values responsibility another team. My responsibility is only to design the structure. Implementation of values is done by somebody else. So because you know, in a project, everything is not built by one person. You design the structure, send it to another team. That team will implement values into it and it will send to another team. So every work is done in several levels. And at our level, we need to just design the structure and send forward. In that case, we don't supply values. We will just declare them. But this declaration is wrong because without supplying a value, you cannot use it. Then what we will do is, we will mention this price as, with union, we mention price as undefined. If I mention undefined, now it is not error. Why it is not error? Because you are clearly telling that price can be a number or price can be without any value. Without any value, how to tell? By using undefined. Undefined is the type which indicates that there will be no value. Now, if I print, what it will print? Price. Undefined. We don't want to print if it is undefined. We want to print only when it is defined. Then what we do is we write a simple condition like this. If price, this is how we write in JavaScript. What does that means? If price means, in JavaScript based technology, wherever you are writing a condition, in that condition you are passing some variable and you are not verifying equal, greater than, or any condition. That means you are verifying whether it is defined or not. Understood? That means here I am not using any condition there. Generally, if requires a condition, but I am not writing any condition, I am just mentioning variable name. Then what it is going to check as a condition in the background? It will check if price defined or not. If a price means, this will evaluate true if there is a value in price. That means this condition will return true if there is value in price. If there is no value in price, then it will return false. So JavaScript developers usually verify whether the value is there or not in a variable just by using if and variable name. There is another technique. Actually, we can also verify like this. If price is equal to undefined, you can write like this. That means if price is not defined, it is not supplied with any value, what to do? But we don't prefer that. We just simply write like this. What does this means? If price is defined. If price is defined, what to do? If price is defined, print both name and price. Else what to do? Else print only name. Don't print price. Understood? We are using only name. This is how we handle the situation. That means we declared so many variables. In some variables, value is there. In some variables, value is not there. If a value is not supplied into any variable, that is verified as, that is treated as undefined. And if you directly try to use it, then your TypeScript will show error. So if you are expecting value and you are not expecting any value, then you have to define the data type. What type? Undefined. How to verify whether it is defined or not? Two techniques are there. We can just use if variable name, or we can verify if variable name is equal to what? Undefined. So if I return if price, it means there is some value in price. If there is in value in price, it will print name and price. Let's see now. This I will try to print. I will open a screen here. Yeah. Let's try to print this. I will compile and run this. So here tsc index.ts, and I am using node index.js, and you can see only name is printed. Why only name is printed? Because price is undefined. Price is undefined. Suppose we supply some value into price. That means later we are passing some value into price. When we pass some value into price, then price is defined. If price is defined, let's see now. I'm compiling and run this again. Then it will print name and price. So how do we verify whether the value defined or not? For that, we have to use undefined. Undefined. Generally, this is the technique of verifying. So here a simple note is you can verify the value defined or undefined by using following methods, following techniques. So the first technique is check with undefined. That means if some price is equal to undefined, you can write the condition like this. Second one is check with defined. Check with defined is simply we define price. No need to use any operator or anything. So when you are working with variables, how to verify whether value is present or not? There are two techniques. You can verify by checking equality with undefined or just referring to variable name. Check with defined or check with undefined. If defined, what to do, and if undefined, what to do. You have to write the conditions. Majority, we prefer the second one. So if value is defined, then do it. Otherwise, not. If you don't check and try to print the value which is not defined, then what it is going to return? It is going to return the value called undefined, right? This is about the data types. So this all comes under the category of what type? Primitive types. So let's take a summary. So we have number, we have string, we have boolean, we have null, and we have undefined. There is another type symbol we will see later. Symbol we will discuss in next level. But this all comes under primitive data types. So JavaScript primitive types, TypeScript primitive types, both are same. Right. Next important, in the data types, you need to understand non-primitive types. How to handle non-primitive types. What are the key points about non-primitive types? So they are mutable types. Primitive types are immutable types. Non-primitive types are mutable. Mutable means what? Their structure can change dynamically. Their structure can change dynamically, and no fixed range for value. So value range varies according to it varies according to memory available. Varies according to memory available. So that is primitive and non-primitive types. And TypeScript non-primitive types, we have number one, array type, number two, object, And number 3, map. Array, object, and map. These 3 are the non-primitive types. Earlier we used to have sets also. Now we are not using much sets. So array type, object type, and map type. These are non-primitive types. I hope you learned these 3 in JavaScript, but little bit different concept is there. I will explain that. I am not teaching all JavaScript basic again here. Only the difference I will explain. Because actually, let's see first array type. What is the change I will show you here? Array type. Generally, in JavaScript, you already learned arrays are used to reduce overhead and complexity. Arrays in computer programming are used to reduce overhead and complexity. The main purpose of array is to reduce overhead and complexity. What is the meaning of overhead? Overhead is nothing but memory is available, but we cannot use. Memory available and we cannot use that memory. That means memory is available, but your system is showing that memory full. You cannot utilize. This problem is called as overhead. Actually, in JavaScript and everywhere you may learn that. So arrays purpose is to reduce overhead and complexity. Generally, people coming from different backgrounds like Java, .NET, C++ and all, when you ask what is array, they say arrays are similar type of values. That is wrong. Array is not similar type of values. Array can handle different types of values also. Right? Actually, in JavaScript, array can store similar type or array can store different type of values. Not only in JavaScript, generally arrays can handle any type of value. Actual purpose of array is to reduce overhead. Actual overhead means, simple point I will tell you. For example, see here in the early days, the electronic devices, like various electronic devices, data stored, usually data is stored in magnetic tapes. Magnetic tape. Actually, data is stored in a magnetic tape. I hope you people know tape recorder, VCR. Do you have experience with them? Right, they store data in magnet tape. I am talking about the situation before CDs and hard disks. So usually data is stored in this way, in a binary form. Data is stored in this way. And actually there will be a read-write head. Usually there will be a read-write head. Now what this read-write head will do is, this read-write head is going to read in a sequential order. That means this head will read in a sequential order. Usually tape rotates from one end to another end, and this head will read the data in a sequential order. So we don't have any problem here. I hope you know, in tape recorder, VCRs, if you want to play the previous song, you have to rewind and play. I hope you know that. Actually, data stored in sequential order and we read in sequential order. But the problem started when we started using floppy, CD and hard disk. Floppy, CD and hard disk. When we started using these for memory and storage, the major problem is you people don't know how a floppy or CD or hard disk work. You just know their names, right? Generally, hard disk, floppy, CD, internally they store data in tracks and sectors. At least this you know. In a floppy or CD or hard disk, data is stored in tracks and sectors. Actually, internally, they have divisions like this. They usually have divisions in this way. They have the divisions in this way. Now, how data is stored in these divisions is actually in these divisions, data will be stored in this way: 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6. This is the order. Data is not stored in a spiral way. Data is not stored in a spiral way. It is stored in this way. Why? Because generally, if you see hard disk, floppy, and CD, I will show you. For example, here, yeah. When you look at the hard disk, how it looks like, you see this is the hard disk internal part. Internally, hard disk looks like this. This is hard disk internal. Inside hard disk, it is present like this. Actually, in this is a read-write head. That is the read-write head. Data is stored and data comes out by using this pin, read-write pin. Now this pin is attached to an arm. You can see it is attached to an arm. And the CD, you can see the disk will rotate around like this. The disk will rotate around. You can see it is attached to a spindle. Am I right? Disk will rotate around. Disk will rotate around, but this read-write will move like this. Understood? That means like a wiper. That means how data is stored: 1, 2, 3. After that, 4, 5, 6. That means data is stored like a wiper, not in a spiral way. Data is stored in this direction. That means in CD or floppy or hard disk, data is stored like this. Actually, the data is stored in this direction. This is the direction. That means actual what happens here, there is a read-write head, and this read-write head is going to move like this. Understood? That means now it stored 7, 8 here. That means it is storing like it is storing some 7, 8. That means it stored 7 and it stored 8. After that, it stopped here. That means it is stopped here. That means this place is empty. And what happens? It goes to next location. It goes to the next location. It stores some data here. It stores to next location, stores the data here. Now this black space that I marked, that is empty. There is nothing stored there. And next time, what happens when this pin comes here? It will see that already some data is stored. It will not go there. It will skip to the next one. That means what will happen? Memory is available, but we cannot use. That means there is a lot of memory, but it is saying memory is full. Then what we have to do, I hope you people know in your computers, there is an option called disk defragmentation. Do you know this disk defragmentation? In your computers, you will have this disk defragmentation. Every few days, you have to run this disk defragmentation to adjust the space. Actually, you don't know this. Automatically, this is done internally. In every computer, internally it happens. You see, its frequency set to weekly. That means every week, automatically it is running in the background. If you turn off this for few days. You can turn off this for few days. Then automatically after using your computer for 3-4 days, it starts showing memory full, memory full. There will be space, but you cannot utilize. Why we cannot do that? Because of data storage will be in this form. What is the problem in this? There is memory, but we cannot use. This problem is called as what? Overhead. How we can overcome overhead? To overcome overhead, if we can store values in a sequential order, then it can overcome the overhead. For that reason, arrays were introduced. Arrays were introduced into computer programming to reduce overhead by storing values in sequential order. By storing values in sequential order. Earlier, we don't have arrays concept. Arrays came into computer programming after floppy, CD, hard disk were invented. Earlier, we don't have arrays concept because there is no need of arrays concept because already data is in sequential order only. Floppy, CD, hard disk, after they were invented and they are used in our computer devices, we started facing the problem called overhead. And to overcome this problem, arrays were introduced into programming. Every technology started using these arrays to reduce overhead. And very, very important is arrays can reduce complexity. They can reduce complexity by storing multiple values under one name. Arrays can reduce complexity by storing multiple values under one name. And very important, array can handle various types of values. Array can handle various types of values. You can handle different types of values using array. But what your technology will teach you, Java will tell you array is similar type. C++ will tell you array is similar type. .NET will tell you array is similar type. That is the problem of their technology. Understood? That means Java, .NET, C++, these all technologies, C, C++, Java, .NET, they have a problem in allocating different types of memory in a sequential order. That is the reason those technologies have restricted array to store only same type. In Java, .NET, C++ or any programming language, they will tell you that arrays are similar type of values. Am I right? That is only in that technology. Don't give that as a universal definition. You will go wrong every time. In all technologies, arrays are not similar type. In all technologies, arrays are not similar type. Array can store different types of values. Only your technologies have some problems, so they restricted. So the purpose of array is not to store same type values. The purpose of array is to reduce overhead. You can store different types of values, which you will see now. We will see that. Another point, I hope your tech have told you that array size cannot be changed dynamically. Am I right? But array size can change dynamically. Array can change its size dynamically. Some of your technologies don't have that capacity. They don't have that ability. So generally, array can handle different types of values and array can change its size dynamically. Generally, your technologies will teach you that arrays are similar type of values and arrays size cannot be changed. That is only for your technology. That means don't ever say that array is similar type value. You should say in my Java array is similar type. In my .NET array is similar type. In my C++ array is similar type. Don't say array is similar type, because in many technologies in the world array is not similar type, right? Array is not similar type, or what you call homogeneous collection. This is all not about array. That is only for your technology. In TypeScript, array can handle both. In TypeScript, array can handle various types of values. Array can handle similar type of values. It can work in both ways. And in TypeScript, array size can change dynamically, which is not possible in other languages. So TypeScript arrays are little bit different from what arrays you have learned in your technology. So let's see how it works, how it is defined. See, how do we define the arrays? I will show you. First step is declaring array. How we declare array? To declare array, you have to use either var or let or const, any variable name, and you have to define name, and you have to define the type, and you should use a meta character. This is declaring array. This is what type of values? String type. That means it is same type values. You can store only string type. Suppose I defined, so this is some name, right? And I defined some number. That means this is what type? This is what type? Number type. This is same type. If I define name and I defined any, then it is what type? Obviously, it can store any type. It can store any type. So array is not similar type values. That is only in your technology. Array can handle different types of values. If I configure the data type as any, it is ready to store one number, one string, one boolean. It is not like all string, all number. That is generally in Java, C++, C. In these programming languages, you will learn that array is same type. But here it can be same type, and as well as it can handle different type. If I mention the data type string, number, boolean, it is same type. If I define any, then it is any type. And interesting, you learned TypeScript has union type now. That means if I say var name and string type array and pipe number type array, it can handle both. Understood? That is the reason the definition array is same type is not correct in TypeScript. So if array is not same type, then what is the purpose of array? The purpose of array is to reduce what? Overhead. Reduce overhead. How we can reduce overhead? By storing values in a sequential order. By storing values in sequential order. So this is array. First important, declaring. How you can declare array? But declaring is not enough. Array is not ready to store values. We declared array, but array is not ready to store values. So to store values, you have to initialize or assign memory. So assign memory for array. This is second step. Declaring array is not enough. After declaring array, in order to store data, you have to set memory also. Memory can be initialized or memory can be assigned. And how to initialize or assign memory? So you can initialize or assign memory for array by using two techniques. What are those two techniques? One is array meta character. Meta character is square brace. This is array meta character. And second one, by using array constructor. Array constructor is like this, array method like. This is array constructor. What is difference? I will tell you. What is difference between these two? That means declaring array is not enough. After declaring array, you have to assign memory. You can assign memory, you can initialize memory. I told you the difference between initialization and assignment. So you can do either initialization or you can do either assignment, right? So declaring array, after declaring array, assignment or initialization of memory. That means usually it will be like this, syntactically like this, where collection is string type array and is equal to array. This is one technique. Now array is ready. Here what we are doing, we are initializing memory. This is declaring and initialization of memory. There is another technique here. What is another technique? We have where collection. It is what type? String type. This is declaring. After that, in the second line, collection is equal to this one. This is what? This is declaring and what? Assigning of memory. This is declaring and assigning of memory. You can initialize memory or you can assign memory. I told you already, initialization means at the time of declaring itself, sending some value. After declaration finished, later if you send something into it, it is called as assignment. Memory can be initialized or memory can be assigned. So we can assign memory or we can initialize. Without this, array is not ready to store any data. You cannot store data into array without initializing or assigning of memory. And there is another technique. This is the syntax using meta character. Using meta character, this is the technique. There is another technique. So that is by using array constructor. By using array constructor like this, where collection, we have string type array is equal to new array. This is the constructor. Now the memory is allocated for array. The memory is allocated for array. Or you can write like this. This is initialization. How we can write assignment? Where collection is what type? String type. After that, collection is equal to new array. This is assignment of memory. That is the assignment of memory. So array can be declared and assigned with memory. And memory is assigned by using two techniques, by using meta character, another one construct. What is difference here? I will tell you what is the difference. That means how to handle this. Actually, what is the difference? Let's see. I am showing you here simple. How do we define the array? So I copied this example previously. Yeah, this example I will copy. So for null and undefined, right? Now let's see here array, how it is configured. Okay, I'm creating var some collection and colon, it is what type string. This is array declaration, but it is not ready to store any data. In order to store data, you can initialize memory or you can assign memory. Assign means in the next line is equal to like this. So array declaration is not enough. Array memory initialization is also compulsory. Now, in many interviews, they ask this question, the frequently asked question, what is difference between array meta character and array constructor? What is difference between the meta character and constructor? So how to use them? Actually, meta character and constructor is array constructor, array method. This is array constructor will not allow to initialize different types of values, even when the type is any, even when the type is any, even when the type is any. Array constructor will not allow to initialize different types of values even when the type is any, even when the type is any. So array constructor is only for initialization of similar type of values, only for similar type of values. Even the data type is defined as any, you can't store all types of values. Then what we can store, I will tell you that. So the data type is defined based on the first value initialized into memory, based on the first value initialized into memory. I will show you this detailedly in example, you can understand. All these points I will show you practically. Let's see. So in TypeScript, array can store same type or array can store different types. For example, see here, what is the concept about this constructor? I will show you. See, let me create here var collection. This collection data type is any type array. Into that, I am using meta character. Remember, what is the data type? Any. And you allocated memory by using what? Meta character. When you allocated memory by using meta character, you can store 10, you can store a, you can store true, all are allowed. It is working fine. Let's print this and see. Console.log collection. I am printing that collection. Let's see. I will compile and run this. TypeScript and node index.js all are working. So array is similar type of values. That is wrong here. Array is not similar type of values. Array can handle different types of values. This kind of ability is not there in your technologies. So that is the reason your technology will tell you that in our technology array is same type. By listening to that definition, you may be thinking that array is for only similar type, but it is not like that. That is only for your technology. Generally in many technologies, array can handle same type or they can handle different type. Then if anybody asks, then what is purpose of array actually? Then the purpose of array is to what? Reduce the overheads, reduce overhead and reduce complexity. So see now, the data type is any, and you can store any type of value. But interestingly observe, I am allocating memory using array constructor. After allocating memory with array constructor, into that first value I passed 10. Second value I am passing a. It is not allowed here. It is not allowed. That means this is not allowed. You can see it is not allowing. So my data type is any only. Then why it is not allowing string? Because array constructor at the time of allocating memory, it will check the first value data type and it will fix the type as that type. That means now what is the data type of this array? Number, because first value is number. Even when the data type is any, it will not allow any. So if you want to restrict array always to initialize only same type values, then better use this array constructor. Even when the data type is any, it will not allow any. You can see the second number, second one should be a number only, then it is okay. For example, if I entered first one as string, then second one number not allowed now. It will not allow second one number. That means now all must be what type? String type. String type. So what is the first point I told you? Array constructor will not allow to initialize different types of values, even when the type is any. Is it proved? Right? We have seen that. That means array constructor is only for initialization of similar type of values. Even when the data type is any, it is similar type. So data type is defined based on which value? First value. And this is very, very important. This rule is only for initialization, not for assignment. This rule is only for initialization, not for assignment. Remember, this is very important. So array constructor will allow assignment of values. Assignment of values will allow assignment of values for various types. For various types. Assignment of values for various types. Not initialization, not initialization. So this rule is only for initialization, not for assignment. It will allow to assign, but it will not allow to initialize. It will not allow to initialize. It will not allow to initialize. This is the point. So this rule is not about assignment. It is only for initialization. For example, see now, I am allocating the memory here. I am allocating the memory by using new array. Okay. Now how to store the values? Collection of, in JavaScript, collection of index number, how much? 0. 0 means first. I stored 10. Here what I am doing, am I initializing or assigning? Assigning. Then you see collection of 1. I can put a string. This is allowed now. So that rule is only for initializations. So meta character can initialize different types, can assign different types, but array constructor can initialize only same type. Assignment can be different type. That means that is why in every line I given that sentence that initialize, initialize, initialize. Because these rules are only for initialization, not for assignment. Not for assignment. That means you can assign different types of values. And what does meta character do? Array meta character. Array meta character is square brace. Will allow to initialize or assign. Understood? Initialize or assign various types. Various types if type is any. But array constructor will not allow to initialize different types. It will allow to only assign. Now, here one important question in interview asked is, what is a tuple? What is a tuple in TypeScript? Because remember, you are learning Angular, but in Angular, 40% of your interview questions will be on TypeScript only. If you don't prepare well for TypeScript, you can't crack Angular interviews. And remember, if 60% questions are on Angular, out of 60% question asked you on Angular, 55% you can answer. So that means that is so easy. Angular questions are so easy that every fresher, experienced person can answer any question in Angular. If you learn the technology perfectly, so you can answer every question. Angular questions are very easy to handle. But where people fail in Angular interviews is not in Angular, they fail in TypeScript. And companies will look for people having good knowledge on TypeScript rather than Angular, because Angular is a framework and TypeScript is a language. Developers' skills are tested based on language, not on framework. Developer skills we test by using his language skills, not framework skills. You answered every question in Angular, but you are unable to answer questions on TypeScript, then you are not suitable as Angular developer. Because frameworks is like kids also can answer that. A kid also can easily learn a framework, but language is very important for developers. So you need to be very strong in answering the questions asked in TypeScript. You should know all the points very well, because Angular interviews majority TypeScript only. And here, what is tuple? I hope you know the first question answer now. What is difference between meta character and constructor? In simple way, tell me, what is the difference? Meta character will allow to initialize or assign different types of values, but array constructor will allow different types of values only in assignment, not in initialization. It will allow initialization similar type even when the data type is any, right? That is important. So what is a tuple? Tuple is nothing but it is a collection. It is a collection that can initialize or assign various types of values. Tuple is a collection that can initialize or assign various types of values. Now, can you tell me how to declare a tuple? Answer understood? Tuple is a collection that can initialize or assign various types of values. Now, can you tell me how to declare a tuple? How to declare a tuple syntactically? Where? So you have to define collection name, colon, what should be the data type? Any, and it is a array is equal to what? Meta character. Am I right? If you define data type as string or number, it is not tuple. For tuples, data type must be what? Any. Another point, you cannot initialize by using array constructor. You have to initialize by using meta character. So then this is referred as a tuple. This is called as a tuple. We call this as a tuple. That means which can initialize different type and which can assign different type. Array constructor cannot make a tuple because array constructor will not allow to initialize. It will allow to assign. So this is one important how to declare array and how do we configure memory for array. Next important, another point you should know is generally while working with arrays, when you store data, access the data. So another question is, what is array destructuring? What is array destructuring? This is also a very important question these days. I hope in JavaScript you might have learned it. Destructuring array. It is a new concept of array introduced from JavaScript ES5 and higher. JavaScript ES5 and higher version introduced a concept called destructuring array. Destructuring array. What is destructuring array? I will tell you. See. Actually, suppose I am creating like this where collection is any type array. In this, I am initializing first one is 1, second one is some TV, third one is some true. We have different types of values. I want to separate these three values and individually access. I want to separate these three values and individually access. Then earlier people in JavaScript, they have to do this. They will declare one variable. That variable is ID. In that, they will collect collection of 0. Understood? We will declare another variable name. So this is name and it is having collection of 1. We have another variable, some stock, and it is collection of what? 2. Like this, we need to separate. That means now ID contains 1, name contains TV, stock contains true. This is how we have to separate values from a array and use them individually. But now in the modern JavaScript, we have a destructuring technique. What you can do is you can declare like this, where in square brace, ID, name and price, or say ID, I'm giving ID, name and stock, and is equal to that collection name. That's it. This is called destructuring. This is new in JavaScript from the version ES5. Now these days, this is the very popularly used technique in every location. That means now what happens in this is, so the value 1 in this collection, value 1 is stored in this ID. And in this collection, value 2 will be stored in this name. And this will be stored in this. Earlier, we used to access index 0, index 1, store in separate variable. This is simple destructuring. Now you can just print those values here. Console.log ID is equal to, I will use like this, yeah. ID is equal to dollar ID, just you can access. In the next line, name is equal to dollar name. In the next line, stock is equal to dollar stock. You can directly access them like this. This is destructuring of array, which is very much followed everywhere in the modern JavaScript. And the same you can use in your TypeScript. Now you run this and see, you can see those three have those options. Compile and run this. And you compile and run this, it is same. That means ID is 1, name is TV, and stock is true. This is called destructuring. Destructuring. So what is array destructuring? It is the process of extracting elements from array and storing in individual references. And storing in individual references. That is called destructuring. That means syntactically like this. We have var collection. Collection is any type array. In that we have 1, we have like TV, and we have like true. And we have to declare 3 variables, ID, name, and stock. Into those 3 variables, you have to pass the collection. That's how we do. This is destructuring. Array destructuring is one new concept that we regularly follow in the modern JavaScript based technologies. It is more convenient, easy way of extracting value from an array and storing in individual references, right? Now, another important point. So what type of values we can store in array? I hope you learned in JavaScript the answer for this. Array can handle any type of value. Understood? Any type of value. That means so primitive and non-primitive. Non-primitive and even a function. There can be anything inside array. In an array, you can store any type of value. You can store primitive types, you can store non-primitive types, and you can store function. There is no restriction for that. But very careful, because if you are trying to store different types, then make sure that the data type is defined as any. Then only you can handle these various types of the concepts, various types of values. You can store any type of value in array, right? For above, I will give the previous example. These examples, you can get it from our classroom. And here, let's see this one. You can store any kind of value. Let's see here. I am creating an array collection. In that collection, I have some 1, I have some TV, I have true, and here we have again array. And in this array, I am defining some Delhi, and I am defining some Hyderabad. And I can have a function also inside array. This function have console.log. So function in array. Something like this. You can have any kind of data in array. This is a complex. For example, now tell me how to access Delhi. or how to access Hyderabad? Collection of at which index first is 0, second is 1, this is 2, and this is 3. That means we are using 3. At 3, what is present? At 3, array is present. Am I right? Then how to access array? Again, square brace. That means you are accessing 3 memory. In that 3 memory, what is present? Array. So you have to access array like this. In that array, what is the index of Hyderabad? 1. That is how we need to pull up the values. Understood? That means now similarly, how to call this function? To call this function, which is present in array, collection of at which location function is present? 4. At 4, what we have? Function. How to call a function? It a parenthesis. So you can store any kind of data in array and you can access, right? Now you see it is same. I will run this here, index.ts, and I am accessing here, all are working same. I'm accessing that Hyderabad, I'm accessing the function. So that is the basic of array. You can store any kind of value and you can access any type of value. It can be primitive, it can be non-primitive, or it can be even a function. Anything can be stored in an array, right? Yeah. Next, important, now you need to know array methods. Array methods. I hope you learned this in JavaScript. I am not explaining this. Why? Because array methods are everywhere same. Whatever JavaScript array methods you learned, same we have to implement here. Can you tell me these array methods? For example, can you tell what are the array methods you learned for reading values? What are the array methods you have learned in JavaScript to read values from array? To read values from array, what are the array methods you learned in JavaScript? How you will read all the values from array? What methods you learned in JavaScript for that? To read values from array, we have the methods toString. We have join. We have slice. So you have find. You have filter. You have map. So these all we can use for loops and we can use for iterators. These are the all techniques. For iterators, we have for in and for off. To read all the values from an array, you can use toString, you can use join, you can use slice, find, filter, map. You can use loops and iterators. Loops means for, while, do while. Iterator means for in, for off. In JavaScript, iterators are for in and for off. For in will read all properties, for off will read all values. These are the array methods you will learn in JavaScript to read values from array, and we are not repeating them here, just all you will learn in JavaScript only. I am not again explaining all this because these are all JavaScript methods, right? So one small point I will show you. For example, here we have var categories. Categories is a string type array. In that we have some categories like electronics, like footwear, like fashion, like this. Now I want to read all these from array. Then we can use simple for var property in what categories. What is this iterator? This iterator will read all the properties. Properties means index 0, 1, 2 will come. That means console.log. What we are printing? Property. That means it is going to print all the properties. So I will run this. You can see this is going to print all the properties. It is going to print all the properties 0, 1, 2. If you want to print all the values, instead of in, we have to use off. Off is going to read all the values. Let's see. Off is going to read all the values. You can read all the values by using off. If you want both properties and values, then we have to use in, and we can print like this. So in a square brace, I will print property. It will return 0, 1, 2. And after that, I will keep here categories. Categories is array name in the square brace property. That means array of 0, array of 1, array of 2. This is going to print both properties and values. You can see it is going to print both properties and values. Understood? This is generally array methods. In JavaScript, you will learn these array methods. And by using these methods, we read the values from array. Now, I hope you also know adding values, adding elements into array. How we can add elements into array? I hope you know the methods. We have a push, we have unshift, and we have splice. Splice. To add elements into array, we have push, unshift, splice. Push is used to add the item as last item, and unshift is used to add the item as first item. You can add new item as last item, first item, or at any specific position. Any specific position, which one is used? Splice. Similarly, removing elements from array. To remove elements from array, what are the methods you learned? Pop, we can use shift, another splice again. Splice is used for both adding and removing. You can remove any item you want from any location by using splice. And shift will remove the first item, and pop will remove the last item. Another one, sorting array elements. For sorting, you have two methods. One is sort, another one is reverse. These are used for sorting. Working with arrays is very important, and all these methods you will learn in general JavaScript. In general JavaScript, you will learn how to handle all these methods. These are all JavaScript array methods, right? So this is all you need to understand about array type. I ignored all JavaScript concepts. I told you what is new here. Means how to define data type, how to define tuples, how to understand the difference between meta character and constructor, right? How we can create array for similar type, how we can create array for different type. And one more very important, which is already we know. So note, that is array supports union of types. Array supports union of types. Union of types means you can declare array for number and string and Boolean combination, anything. It supports union of types. Suppose, how do we define union of types? So we are creating var collection. Collection is string type array, pipe symbol, another one, number type array. Now into that I am passing 10, I am passing A, and I am passing some, so another 20 like this. Now you can see now there is a problem. There is a problem. You can see it is string and number type. String and number type. Now you have a problem. And the problem is nothing but it is saying that, so here, so string and number type not assignable to string number type. Why they are not assignable to string and number type? Because you mentioned string and or what type? Number type. That means here, for example, see now, I am not initializing. I am not initializing. So here I am assigning, what is it? Collection. Collection of 0 is what? 10. And collection of 1 is what? A. That is a string type. Now it is okay. So that means initialization of different types is possible only when the data type is any. Data type is any. If you mention union of types, then initialization cannot happen. All assignment only can happen. That means here in union of types, one rule is there. Array supports union of types, but you cannot initialize union types. Understood? You cannot initialize union types. You have to assign. You have to assign, not initialize. That is very important. So you can define union. Union is about declaring. Initializing of values you cannot do. You have to only assign. So generally, when you are expecting numbers and strings, then what you can do? You can simply declare union and later you can assign values into it, right? So this is the example. Actually, syntax is like this. We have a collection with a string and a number. In that, we can store different. If you try to initialize values into it, it will not allow to initialize the values. It is very important that you have to define only assignment. Initialization is not possible. So that is important about unions. Is it clear to everyone? Right? All these are important methods. So if you already learned JavaScript array methods, it is very good. Otherwise, I will upload one document related to arrays of JavaScript. You go through that document. That is because JavaScripts, again, we can't spend here. It will take so much time because every method is huge. Lot of things are there. Okay. So in JavaScript, you will learn arrays, but in TypeScript, slight change. And those all changes I explained, right? Now we have to understand another important in the data types. So we have an object type and we have an map. Objects and maps that we'll see in tomorrow session, right? Today is enough with arrays. I will upload a JavaScript array concept. You go through it. You will find all the array methods related examples you can practice. Those methods you can apply on this TypeScript. Okay, right. Then in tomorrow session, we will finish object map. Then we can start OOP concept, object oriented programming. That is important. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue.